Hi, you guys. It's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? So, today I want to talk about like inspired action versus enslaved programming and just allowing ourselves to sort of accept that, like, a large majority of what we do, we're programmed to do. We're programmed to eat at certain times. We're programmed to be working during certain times, i.e., like as soon as we go to school, we're essentially being programmed to the 9 to 5 working paradigm. And we're programmed to have expectation, we're programmed to achieve, we're programmed to go after it and make it happen and all this sort of stuff. And depending on our familial upbringing, depending on what kind of environment we grew up in, inspired action, there weren't necessarily space for inspired action, and or joy, happiness, silence and peace might have been misinterpreted by our people around us, and we might have been sort of taught to believe we were just wrong. Just our beingness was out of order kind of thing, or not quite right for this realm, and so we should squeeze or tighten or do what we can to mask the truth of our beingness in order to be a good slave in the system. And this it makes more sense when you see it as an enslavement paradigm because of the power structure of ego, and how ego, if it sees itself as inferior, it might well try to become inferior. And that's why we have a system which is hierarchical, right? That this is the illusion of the system makes people think like they can achieve that status. Even randomly, what I'm hearing right now, I don't even talk about this a lot, but like the royal family in the UK, I I don't know why this is coming through. So like even the agenda of the princes of England marrying quote unquote, like I want to say like normal women. I don't even know what I'm talking about because I like don't read up or don't know these people at all. But also that is potentially either a breakthrough or a complete illusion designed to entrap people once again into the perception of a monarch and the perception of that rulership. Of course, as like a, oh, look at all these wonderful happy people, but we needn't sort of forget that these people, their wealth comes from enslaving and impoverishing and ruling, possibly in very violent ways, the people of their nation and country. And so that kind of rulership is a little bit distorted in this day and age when the masses are sort of hungry and overworked, underpaid, and all of that kind of stuff. Hi, Gigi. How are you? It was nice to see you in Fifth's live share yesterday. So the way I see it, like the majority of us, that's where we're at. We're pretty programmed to struggle and worry and work hard. And the fact is we're worried and we're stressed, and yet we get in these vicious cycles because because we're worried and stressed, and because there's so much depth to the wounding. Taking a break or stopping is not, like, because of all the stuff that comes up. And that's why often I'd say people, when they go on holiday, or when there's like a break from the enslavement, i.e., we have a bank holiday or we have our holiday as a worker bee. And that's why we often drink so much. Like, that is the typical, I would say, enslavement pattern, is that work to the bone and then drink, so that you don't have to think about how hard you have to work. You don't have to think of anything outside of that paradigm, And often what I observe are just the perpetual excuses that people make for why, enslaved programming is the way and inspired action is just for like special people, or inspired action is just like a whimsical idea. Similarly, it's like how I sometimes see flow. Hi, Golden Heart, how are you? Like living on flow, when we're a lot more entrenched in systematized patterning, living on flow seems like well, you can't just live on flow. You have to be. And I'm like, no, no, no. It is flow. Like all flow is way more efficient, way more productive. But what I've experienced in my life is that there's often a bit of a transition, and you have to be kind of bold enough and courageous enough to take that leap, and not knowing where it's going to end up, not knowing how far it is, the free fall potentially, and not having really any sense of what you're going to find once you land, except for the fact that you're trusting that the jump is going to get you to some place that's better than where you are. And on the way down, everything that you don't need anymore is going to be shed as well. Oh, wow, yeah, drinking really removed, or drinking removed inhibitions, and you can really talk about raw. So yeah, so that's another element of it, isn't Gigi? That like our drinking nights out with coworkers are often like forms of therapy because people, yeah, are so deep in it, right? Okay, so this is all stuff that's brewing around coming starting to realize that there are these certain threads of similarity when it comes to this whole spiritual awakening process. So we talk about loneliness and confusion often, and what I'm aware of is the fact that like spiritual awakening in this day and age, how I kind of see it is that like the spiritual awakening piece is one and the same as as healing the system or systematic healing. The reason these spiritual awakenings are happening, and the way I see it, it's not something glorious or glamorous or special. All it is a human having a shift in perspective, waking up one morning and suddenly realizing that the fucking roses smell really gorgeous, and because they smell gorgeous, suddenly they're realizing maybe I don't have to do that thing. I don't know. Like or like it can be instantaneous, and that's the thing about these awakenings, and why any level of excuse making or even I'm getting over planning is an in, is it inhibits our flow, right? It potentially squeezes us off, and yet there is a sort of outworking as I observe from my own self and then observe people going through the spiritual awakening process. It's like anger, a lot of anger, possibly getting like cold or flu, or like having this like whole physical shift process. A lot of anger and kind of emotion can surface, and or people get unwell if they're not able to express the emotion they're feeling. Usually then what happens is that we retreat and we withdraw, and we can often like go into the self, and it's in that process where I observe that we often go down these YouTube rabbit holes, and we often hook into like a lot of the light language, or the archangel stuff, like the different channelers, the light language, I'm talking light language not in like actual light language, but I'm talking about like Cryon and the Pleiades and the different star systems and stuff like that. And that is part of the further awakening, because to me those channels often assist us in awakening our cosmic origins, i.e. our own placement in the galaxy, I guess, and also like where and how and with whom, with what energetic stream or frequencies we actually align with. So a lot of us are just in alignment with more benevolence and grace and light, and darkness and deception and violence is something that is not in resonance anymore with where we are on a soul's journey, right? So we essentially have come to kind of be go through the system, as it were, as a slave, and then to like have these awakenings, i.e. these like trigger points that actually help us to awaken and then remember. And then it's through the atonement or the remembrance process that is the healing, and I'm increasingly aware, that there's these different portals of healing and or spiritual communities that are really just an imprint of the same divide and conquer systematic tactic, right? So as in I'm now at this point where I'm like, it's not, there's no like dogma, and there's no necessarily like community, as it were. It's just like people being like, hey, do you res? Great. If not, off we go. Um, like, there's no hoops to jump through. There's no trying to get something. There's no agenda, as it were. And that, it would appear, is increasingly rare, because we live in an enslavement system. Everybody's trying to get ahead, everybody's trying to get something. So true healing is that you're not trying to get anything anymore because you're already healed. So like everything is already done. And so you're just on flow of love's grace. And then that is all. um, and it's, I don't know, it's like this miraculous state. But I'm increasingly aware that there's like this intense focus, and that I was almost going to call it focused action, because I'm feeling what now I'm going through is this increasing narrowing of the focus. And I'm increasingly, it's like other people's energy, other people's projections, thought, da, 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 none of that is like important to the point of like it's not triggering. There's no biofeedback other than like I can just stay focused on the self. I can just stay focused on that feel good flow. I can just stay focused on that discipline from within. And again, that's often where I see us like getting wobbles, is that we're too invested in the idea or concept of like serving other. We're too invested in group consciousness, as it were, and we're super duper invested in affirmation and having other people tell us, is that right? Is that right? Am I good? Am I a good student? Am I right? And so we do that basically out of our unworthiness wound, right? Mm. Hi, Gigi. It resonates, so be it. Um, so yeah, there seems to be, and I'll continue to noodle and I'll share like relevant insights as and when I get them. So I just have like a list of stuff that I do daily, and I truly believe that there's this sort of path to the healed, and like the healed is the authentic, not spiritual or love and light. Your healed state is you just getting back to you. And I got to say, you do know who that is. And increasingly, you can feel the edges of the mask and or the edges of where you're outworking things like people pleasing and or narcissism, right? It's the same thing on the different coin. If someone's people pleasing, they're bound to attract narcissistic behavior because they're so effing concerned about what other people think. If you're just in your authentic truth, you'll have a great time in your own little movie story in your head, and you're going to enjoy the drama filled nature of it, but at the same time be bold in your truth, in your beingness, which is epic and liberating, right? And this whole piece, this whole stuff, it's all about emancipation, right? It's not about creating more divide and conquer, i.e., these communities are better than those communities. These people are right, those people are wrong. And that's one thing. I don't even want to address or can't be bothered to address the rightness and wrongness. I'm just like, just be yourself. If you understand and resonate, then stick around. Let's have chats. If you're like, yeah, having an issue with things that I'm saying, just move right along. Maybe you'll find another channel that will agree with you or not agree with you. I just am not somebody who goes around trying to get people to believe or res. I'm just somebody who's like guided to share. And I feel good thinking these sort of thoughts. I enjoy the space in my heart and my mind, especially the more I honor myself, which is a weird introvert. Like, and I never imagined it, but the more I allow it, the more I'm like, woohoo, life is awesome. I weirdly love my life. And yet who knows, people might perceive it as whatever they perceive it, but that's not my concern. Total ramble. I'm just rambling on for England now, you guys. But I actually have like notes for you. This is me being professional. So, okay, silence. That's my biggest one, obviously. Like patience and silence. Could I ever stop talking? But I do. I mean, that's the thing. People are like, wow, you're so extrovert and chatty. And I'm like, yeah, for like this 20-minute to 1 hour live feed that I do every day, or when I'm having sessions with peeps, I talk and listen. But outside of my YouTube therapy time, I I'm often just by myself, sitting alone. Um, I know I love selling my lifestyle to you guys to be like, maybe go for a walk, go to bed at 8:30. Wait. Um, but at the same time, I honor it. I'm like, don't get the wrong idea. It's not like I'm taking the piss out of myself. I'm like, woo woo. Like I freaking love it. Time on my own, right? And like straight up, and all of us probably have our limit with that. But the miraculousness of being in like a surrendered all flow state is that legit. Even when I'm in foreign countries, being a total lone traveler, I end up meeting people at divine moments. So like I remember I was like alone for about 20 to 25 days when I was writing my book in on Bali, and just on the edge of like, like I think I need some human interaction. A good friend came to Bali, and so I ended up meeting with him, and it gave me a bit of a human interaction break, and we laughed, we had good chats, and it was just the saving grace I needed as far as like going a little bit to the edge of my loner vibes, because I can hang out there substantially. And increasingly as I do, I realize other people don't, and I don't know, everyone just has a different point of attraction, right? Ooh, golden heart. I'm like, oh yeah, baby. Hook that shit up, man. I can feel the goodness of that. A massage, a Reiki session, and along that. So I once had a massage. I'm very mindful of massages now. I had a massage which one that I remember the chica was like talking to me the whole time. And then also it was one of those like deep tissue sports massages, which I couldn't tell in the moment. I was like, am I enjoying this or am I literally being beat up? I'm not sure. And then that night so it was like, I don't know, a midday massage. And this is going back like 7 or 8 years when I was just getting into all of this. Like, I need to fucking heal. So and investing in myself, i.e., having massages. And I remember I was into doing my nails at the time. So anyway, yeah, I just couldn't tell. I'm like, ow, is she beating me up or is this meant to be good for me? Pardon me. And then I actually had a yoga class that night, like 4 hours later, and I could barely effing talk during the yoga class. And I still to this day, I'm not sure if that is like considered a good massage or not. Like at the same time, I think it's just the practice. Like it's up to you. So I know, because I've worked in well-being and retreats now for like so long, there are some people who are just like, I need it. Give me, and they're like, unless the therapist is going in really deep to those like knotted muscles, they're like, what's the point? Whereas I've also met women and men maybe, but men usually like the tougher ones, but women who are like, oh no, like I need it to be pretty gentle or and intuitive and energetic. I think that's where I'm coming from, because I stretch and I'm pretty like limber already. Like trying to get into my muscle tension is like going to the bone or the nerves or something, because I'm listen to me just talking shit. Yeah, because typically increasingly I'm not very tense actually. Um so let me continue to discuss my top tips for moving into inspired action and breaking free from enslaved programming, spiritual awakening, and systematic healing. So really, the systematic healing is that we're healing from enslavement, i.e., slavery of the mind, and then but there's a physical process of healing, and then what are we healing from? Well, we're healing because we're having these awakenings that are helping us see more clearly the systematized programming. And then we're going, yeah, that's so fucking weird. But then we're learning via one another that that it's these things like live on flow, open your heart, feel loads, start crying like you're crying for England. As in, I say that in lightness and just, but the truth of what I mean by that is start feeling and breathing and being a weirdo and just being whoever the F you want to be at any given moment. And that is your healing. That you finding you is the healing that you're seeking, and a lot of us can navigate it via different types of food and healers and different workshops and sound and color and crystals and incense and nature, obviously, like actually going outside. And it's actually right there. It's like it's being laid down for us, superfoods and breath work and plants and plant medicine and play, and like kind of just encapsulating the curiosity of innocence. And as far as remove the veil of dogma around spirituality and just remember what it's like to play and be curious and not pretend like you know everything, because that's the weird mechanistic program. Must know the world. Like, look, no, I know it there. I know all that. Like, that's, I know it. So I've got to divide and conquer that shit because it's mine to power over. Like, no, 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 we don't. That's fucked. We need to come back into the heart, pull back in all our distorted creations, and feel deeply. Remember the responsibility of our creatorship. Otherwise, we lose that. Otherwise, you're not gonna have any pulling power to manifest your dreams. Because you're just gonna unconsciously manifest all the bullshit that you're not dealing with, i.e., feeling and processing and sitting with, because so easily in our systematic imprint, we just got to be busy. It's like, don't look at yourself. Don't take time to feel, breathe, notice, right? Just keep busy, keep working, because that's what we're told to do. But that's essentially what we're all waking up from, right? Oh, hey, Amit. I saw you somewhere else recently. And I'm not, now I'm like, were you saying it to me or someone else about like, I'm still here. I'm still watching stuff. And I'm like, Amit. And you're like, I love you. And I was like, I love you. Yeah. I gotta say, this year's been tough, as in, like so many of us, there's been a lot of deep despair, mega unworthiness wounds, so a fair amount. And I've shared this in lightness with you, but like 3D paradigm would look at my last 5 months and be like, "Whoa, you're depressed or something's up," and I'm like, "Yeah, you can call it depression." I personally see it as healing from burnout, and and coming to a culmination of total transformation, i.e., my entire world is transformed. My entire life is transformed. My body is transformed. Nothing looks the same. Everything is different. And yet I'm vibrationally on a new path. I'm vibrationally up leveled, anchored in the new. And and again, I share because I'm aware of what I've been through to get to this point, and I'm aware of the different veils of external judgment in my biofeedback, but I'm increasingly like, boom, boom, not my problem. And that is so liberating, coming from an empathic, highly sensitive, people pleasing background of pretty much unconsciously manifesting my mother, my father, and my sister in my reality over and over again, trying to look for their approval, realizing I were never gonna get it. I were never gonna get it. And as I was seeking approval outside of myself, in the end, I ended up in toxic patterning with people who were using and abusing me, also unconsciously. I'm not blaming them, but in my reality, that's what happened. So I fled. And I've basically been running for my life for the last 3 years, in such a way. And even as I was running, and then thinking I was landing, and then having more rugs pulled out from under me, running for my life. And that sounds super dramatic, but on an energetic, you guys get the flow. That's what karma is. That's what ancestry is. Like on an energetic level, it did. It felt like I was running from my life, from my oppressors, persecutors, and blah 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 blah. And it's still like I'm still anchoring in because I'm noticing this whole new shifty reality. It's all like fucking awesome and brand new, but I'm taking my time, which is also not normal. I'm like, hi, I'm in Aries, like shit, like fool, proper fool. I just take jumps and I'm like, I don't know, and then usually it works out. Sometimes it really hasn't, but like you just keep going. But normally the Aryan in me is like mega fast. I have a sharp mind as well. So I tend to like work shit out and I'm just like, all right, everybody ready? And then no. So it's taken some impulsive leaps. And now I'm an adult. I'm an adult, you guys. Thus I can actually hold space and take time. I don't like respond the same way to things. I don't engage the same way with things. I've recently been through a situation where I've dealt with it completely different than I would have done in the past, and it potentially saved my life. Um, I don't know. Everything's changing in a real awesome way, and I'm like, yes, yes. Especially because there's so much love for everyone here. Golden heart, golden heart. That doesn't surprise me, girlfriend. There's a resonance feeling in you. It also, I believe you're reading Magdalene, and like, yeah, definitely like a resonant connection with your energy. And also, like, the past life, not getting too hooked in the past life stuff, that's super resonant. Oh, and the Middle Earth, the Shire folk. We shall meet. Hey, some of you guys I know are already getting excited about the Kauai trip, and fear not, my friends, we're on it. Clear is like planning, organizing. As soon as we have dates, we'll let you know. As soon as we have like booking open, we'll let you know, because people are like, when can I book? And I'm like, I don't even have a date yet, you guys. But also come to France if you guys are nearby and or can afford the flight. Come to France for the paragliding retreat. I'm fully freaking invested. I've committed. I've paid the deposit to the chalet. I'm like, we're doing it, you guys. Huh, huh. So I'm quite excited about that one. Now it's like fully happening. And then of course, these are part of the new energies. I'm committed. I'm committed to hosting these events so that we can all congregate at least once a year and do all this stuff, inspired action, break free from our enslavement, or at least sort of bring it into our awareness. So have discussions as we are to bring that enslavement shit into our awareness and be gone with it. That's why we like to do things like surfing and paragliding. Sometimes we want to actually physicalize our freedom. So paragliding and surfing, different but very similar in as far as like kind of extreme sports. And from my perspective, the way I feel when I'm doing these things, I'm just like, I'm alive. I'm alive. And it feels freaking amazing. So who wouldn't want to do that? And then do yoga every morning and just have chittle chattles and eat yummy, yummy vegan food. And my chef is she wasn't, I like randomly, because I just last minute was like, okay, we're definitely going. And then I hadn't solidified or confirmed the chef. And so it was a bit like, whoa, but she just confirmed yesterday, hence why all this energy is moving. And yeah, so my chef is definitely, I'm sorry, I'm checking messages. She's coming to France. She got time off work basically, which is legit awesome. Sherry D, how interesting. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure somewhere here in England as well. From the Magdalene manuscript, right? She actually traveled, they would have traveled from I guess it's probably a pilgrimage, but like from the east, and then after the resurrection they traveled, I guess you'd have to say, through Eastern Europe and then into France, and then they ended up around Avalon. Is that right? I don't remember, and I'm not actually too like fixated on, because it's probably a little bit different with everyone connecting to the energies. I just get a sense of like the blood lineage, and as far as like remember the like horror of the times of like, but at the same time the glory, like the glory of God and the Christ. We were just like, what up? Like, this is freaking awesome for humanity. But then clearly, like, the majority of humanity weren't, or maybe they were ready. It's all in divine grace, Avi. How dare I try to think that something is not in alignment with divine codes? I'm like, yeah, see, there, that would be like an egoic, like, I should try to work it out. Like, where exactly did Magdalene go? Where was her and Jesus? Where did she give birth to Sarah? I'm like, let's just trust that these folk are in our beingness as the divinity codes, right? And again, simple folk, carpenter folk. You know, I'm sure like any of us, when we get more in our bodies, we understand what the sex magic and Magdalene was talking about. It's just the fact that we all desire to be in gooey ooey love. But what I've found is that I can't manifest the gooey ooey love in actual divine union until I'm in the gooey gooey love within the self. Hence the Magdalene manuscript and the sex magic is that we have to own our own sexual power, own it in the self, create the elixir from within the self. That's part of the beautiful technique of the black and golden serpent rising, which is the kind of primal energy elixir which we activate in the beingness in the self, and then that helps us to become a full sovereign human being. The more we are there, the more the other won't survive in our field. So if a man isn't vibrating his divine elixir, it'll be really hard to hook into a woman who is, because she'll sniff out the bullshit. Hence why we're seeing more and more divine, because women's freedom and emancipation is essentially leading to the totality rising up, and then we're finding more divinity in union, right? Oh, Sherry D, indeed. So it's called the Magdalene. Who's reading it? Golden Heart is actually reading it right now. It's called the Magdalene Manuscript. You've just mentioned it, Golden Heart. The writer, there's two. It's like a man and possibly a couple actually. Judy Cyan and Tom or Ken something. Anyway, I forget the authors. There, look, and it's something about the tools of Horus and sex magic devices or something like that. It to me, it really is exemplary of our divinity. And it's trying to remember, yeah, it's trying to just remind us that our sexuality is beautiful and empowering, and we don't need to have all the shame and guilt around it, like like the Catholic Church would have had us believe. Once we start healing our body shame, we start to have sexual awakenings. And you could just simply say that sexual awakening is the remember that like it's pure and beautiful. It's not something shameful and disgusting, or I don't know. Yeah, it's some we oh, like there again, I'm like, oh, sad little humanity, broken little humanity, where we're like we have these desires, but we're not supposed to, or yeah, you can really, once I guess maybe you feel more in your wholeness, and then when you feel more in your wholeness, you can really like hold space and just get a sense of the masks and the like the fractalized aspect of human, like basically people are all split apart and they're masked and they're disowning, and all anxious and confused and in the fear. And then the more of us like rising into our sovereignty, holding space and sensing that, the more obvious those masks and da da da. Hence why increasingly communities like this, we want to join together, congregate, and withdraw from mass in a, obviously in a loving and sensitive way, but hold space so that the mass can start to see their aspects that are fractaled more clearly or just in conflict, so that we're stepping back, hold space, whole circle, so that the next wave can really like see, what am I doing, like those of us from previous waves would have seen our ugliness reflected back at us, right? And then found the teachers, the guides, the people on our path that helped us climb our way out of the darkness, right? Essentially. Hi, Chic. Sherry. Yeah, I think many of us. Hi, yeah, 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 for sure, right? What did you say? And I agree. I had memories of her. Yeah, yeah. I like because by the time Mary Magdalene or the Magdalene manuscript came into my reality, I had published the Fearless Life Guide, and I had not read anything. This is part of me, I guess, stepping into this like state where I'm like, um I just don't engage with external, like it's all intuish basically. And yet I was having experiences with other and having quote unquote, I guess, spiritual sexual awakenings. And I was guided to the Magdalene manuscript. And bearing in mind, like I hadn't properly read anything else for probably about 2 years. And then I start reading, and I can't even freaking tell you exactly what was in Like, I can't tell, it was something about the story of the man and woman coming together. Anyway, I was just getting mega downloads and, like, crying loads. Like, I'd read half a page and just be like, like, in huge storms, and I was just like, "Ah." But then it's something, but you said you had a memory of her. There was something just visceral about the story and about, and maybe being brought back to the time, or just some divine connection. That's all I know. It was just some divine connection that I felt with Magdalene and that story, right? And it's very moving, right? Good, good, good. It's not just me then. And everyone can remove the mask and be their true self in the presence of all their relationships, the world will be healed. Pretty much. Yeah. And like, we'll still have dynamism and spectrum, just not super covert, insidious ones. We up level, essentially transform those bass tones, and then up level so that the higher is higher and the lower is dropped out. So so relatively speaking, it will still be challenging and holding space and like in our epicness, but it won't be like this, like this like weird purgatory energy. Although I guess we could say that's what we are working for. So many storm of emotion tonight. Mega hot lava bush for Shikiki Libre. Hi, Rochelle. Nice timing, my friend. Are you taking a break from your road trip? Mm, 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 mm. So I have no idea where I got in my little list, but but you guys already know all this already. So, like, what is the antidote? How do we effing heal from this crazy system, right? This enslavement programming, this disempowerment, unworthiness, core wound, darkness, blah, Draco system, like deep state, MK Ultra. So yeah, how do we heal? Well, like, I just have a bullet point of things which I'm gonna list off. Silence. Like, just freaking silence. Like, it's hard for me to keep because I'm still aware, like, we're here and we're having chats, but like, oh my G. Silence, yo. And that's why getting away and going to places like Le Grand Bonheur and taking yourselves at retreat is that I have a couple of my besties live in cities, and like when they message me, I can feel the biofeedback of public transport, cars, just noise, just collective hive mind noise. That impacts the system. And so silence, but real silence, like going into the depth, going into the countryside where there aren't those systematized noise everywhere, and actually just see, when you're really heavily invested in the 3D material reality as the true reality, it's like you deny the fucking exquisite beauty of that voidal elixir point. Like, hanging out in the void is a juicy, juicy thing, but we get frightened of it because why? Because we're slaves and we're meant to be busy working all the time. And if you take one moment for yourself, bad, bad, and that is what has taken me years and years and years to outwork. I've been doing yoga for 10 years, but it was like 5 or 6 years into being a professional yoga teacher that I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to fucking relax. Straight up. Going around telling everybody to breathe and do shavasana. And I'm not like, again, being hard on myself. I was still delivering some decent yoga classes, but much more. And it's funny because it resonates, because back then I was teaching like 5, 6 classes a week, 7 days a week, or 5, 6 classes a day, up to 7 days a week in gyms, in CrossFit studios, in people's fucking backyard cabins, outside, in people's fucking living rooms, like everywhere. And eventually I burn out. You burn out when you do that to yourself, whether you're doing yoga or you're working in a factory, right? So that was my thing about deep relaxation. That's when all the metaphysics stuff aligned. And then I realized, and I started having people tell me, like, you should teach teachers, Molly. Like, as in, you should work your way up in the yoga industry. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I don't want to. I just want to be myself. And plus, I started to feel into like a lot of the distortion of just spiritual communities and yoga communities where I'm like, this isn't like trying to fix yoga into the system is not necessarily what's going to save us. You know, we're going to save us by being authentic human beings, not trying to be like Indian guru yoga. Like that's awesome, but like I don't know how we can expect all of us to be like that necessarily. We can do ritual, ceremony, and imagination. So you invoke the imagination to imagine dispersing low vibrational aspect in the environment. You can use your biofeedback resonance to integrate it and then transform it. And it would be that either you just won't gravitate to those environments and they will shapeshift and or they will shapeshift. That's kind of always our responsibility in any given moment is like if something's triggering us we can step back, and I know that can be uncomfortable. For me, I notice it too. Like if something's coming up for me, I'll usually just end a conversation or step back because it's not that person's fault, but clearly something that person is vibrating is impacting me and it's hurting me, so I need to kind of step away and get clear of it. I'm randomly thinking about something this morning, and how again I this is part of the empathic highly sensitive thing, was that like I'll do something that I know is honoring me and yet I'll feel bad because me honoring me, right? But then I'm like, but that's the fucking cycle. That's the whole thing that we have to cut out, is that like if everyone is responsible, everyone's fucking responsible. So it's not my job to like go around making everybody happy. My job is to serve the self, which I know seems so weird and paradoxical and um selfish, but there again, in the system, you want people to feel bad because then they'll keep working for you. If people are truly in love and truly empowered in their divinity, you can't fucking enslave them anymore. So it makes sense that we have to break free to the next level, because if we're all feeling bad because we're not fucking spiritual enough, then there we become slaves again. And this is what often happens, is people just make excuses why they can't actually live an authentic spiritual life, and make excuses because of the system. I'm like, y'all, it's all in now. It's all in. We those walls, those pillars are crumbling, have been crumbling. In fact, the pillar were never even properly fucking put down. The evolutionary leap is us finally rising into our divinity to transform the world as we know it. So you are doing it, and trust that it is done. Hey, tree hugger. Same. Cause I fully like, thank you. I appreciate that. And I honor you honoring the self. Here's the thing. If you guys are all taking care of yourselves, that makes me feel awesome and happy. So I'm assuming that's like how we all feel about one another. It's a, oh, well done. MJ loves herself. Great. Like, like, versus like, like some of us have gotten like, you can't just love yourself. You can't just be happy and free. You should be concerned about all these people and their feelings. I'm like, yeah, I am. I wrote a book about it. And the book states that they're responsible for their feelings, just like I've been responsible for mine my whole life. So, deal with it, you guys. You guys, and for real right now, like it's literally full moon action across the back section. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Oh, guys, look at me. I just blab on for England. So the list is still happening slowly. But guess what? The next word is slow. So silence. Again, LOL. Divine sight. Isn't it just perpetual? It's like, oh, I did it again. I focused all my attention on that thing or that person. Yoink. I just have to drop in. That's all it ever is. Same like working with you guys. It's like all it ever is like a reminder of just love yourself no matter what. Like no matter what, however funky it gets. Oh, and how do we love ourselves better? Slow down. Slow everything down. Like stop. Just fucking stop. And I remember this when I did Vipassana. New Year's turnover, a 10-day Vipassana retreat, 2011 turning into 2012. that initial, like, really embedding my meditate, because I'd been meditating for a couple of years, but wondering, like, am I doing it right? So then Vipassana was like the anchor. And I remember at Vipassana having this very simple insight. All the world's problems. If everybody could just sit down and shut up for a few minutes, like, just calm down, humanity. Turn off the lights, turn off your machines, sit down, take a breath, maybe have a sip of water or something, just like, really, like, if every human did that, I think the world would be healed in an instant. I'm pretty sure, because then we'd be like, oh, we just need to slow down and chill. Yeah, right? Okay, good. So slow down. And again, slowing down can be a bit of a process, because it can be uncomfortable, because when we start slowing down, it all starts to come up to the surface. Everything that we've been running away from, everything that we've been denying, everything that we've been busying ourselves because we don't want to effing feel it, because it's uncomfortable. It's just because there. And then you feel a bunch of stuff for probably a really long time, until it all starts balancing out. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember who I am. And then there's more groundedness, anchoredness, and also exhilaration and ecstasy and bliss, because, like, mostly I live in the ecstasy and bliss, but I still rebound and feel the contrast of, like, other, right? Okay, so slowing down is hells to the yizal manizal, like the legit truth of life. And that reminds me, of course, of shavasana. Shavasana, it means corpse pose. Corpse. What is corpse? Corpse is a dead body. So a shavasana in yoga basically means die to the illusion. And that to me is the ultimate teaching of the yoga hot vibrashe. Like, the essence of yoga is basically saying, just die to the illusion and rest in peace. Peace is the altar of God, which is your heart, which is you living in alignment with your heart, which is you on totality of the love heart, and then in union with the self, in union with the universe, and then bringing your universal essence into this earth realm, which all of us are doing and doing and doing as we continue to evolve. That's why we're seeing more yoga studios. That's why more of us are embodying the teachings. That's why, because the return of Christ has been coming forever. It's never gone. That's the thing. None of this beauty and Christedness. They're like the return. I'm like, it never went anywhere. It's always been in unity with the self. It's always in one. It's only in our sense of individuality that we think we're separate. But one awakening is the awakening of the totality. If one is going through something, we're all going through it to a certain degree. Some of us are just still blinded to it. Hence why we shake it up from different angles. We look at things from different angles. We, like, throw stuff back in there, and more people begin to awaken, right? Hey, Shiki Libra. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Hi, John. Death and transformation. Thanks. Golden Heart is actually just reminding me that, like, yeah, and that's the theme. That's literally the actual essence of the energies that we're in right now on the planet. Is we've penetrated to the depth of our psychoses, our death process, right? We've uncovered all the shit that is just, like, weighing us down and hurting us and and going, okay, I see that. I'm aware of that. I've been dealing with that. I get it. And thank you, but I'm out. I'm going this now. I'm going to focus on this here. I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to move like this, and and that's what we're doing. So as you can imagine, the next two are relax and breathe. And I know it sounds ridiculous, breathing. I'm always breathing, I know, but you'd be surprised. Like, I've worked with a number of people. When they start doing yoga, they're like, I don't really breathe. I'm like, yeah, I know. A lot of people don't. And you don't think it, because you're like, no. Oh, breathing. Oh, yeah. But, like, people come to a yoga class, or people go sit down in business meetings, or, like, again, any of us were, like, working and focused and and don't even realize that it might not be that we're completely not breathing, but what it is so one, yeah, people do notice they actually hold their breath, and then the other is that they're only breathing, like, to here. So they're ungrounded, they're not taking in their full life force, and they're not releasing. So they're like holding on, fearful of letting go, trying to run through life, you know? So that is ultimately what I mean by like lids popping off, is that en masse human beings are just like blah, blah, breaking down, frazzling out, being committed because they literally can't take the pressure anymore. However, the paradox is that the pressure is a good thing. Even though it seems and feels a bit chaotic and crazy, the pressure is a good thing. It's again, it's catalyzing us. It's as a totality, as a humanity, we're moving from carbon to diamante. You know, we're moving from sort of one expression as a human form into a more light-filled expression, which is actually a really beautiful thing. We just need to stop fear-mongering around it and just be it, become it, be it. Just breathe. My favorite bumper sticker for reality reminder says just that. Breathe. I know, like it's so simple, this stuff, but so effective because I do it. That's also like, I think when you get guided into this stuff, it's like I didn't try, it just landed. And then it's like intuitive, you know, all this stuff. And then when you start teaching it, you're like, you remind yourself that you're teaching yourself as well. That's right. Hmm. Yeah. So, and that's when we don't get, so if we're not using our diaphragm ever, like we don't get the benefit of the diaphragm, of full belly breath, of full depth of breathing. We get the benefit of the toning and the massaging and, well, just vitality moving through us. If we're only ever breathing in here, it's like we're afraid of life, i.e., being in the illusion of life, we're not alive. We're essentially the living dead, which is the actual um that's what the system actually is. The system denies our life force, so disconnects us from our totality, and thus takes the bond, right? Takes our birth certificate energy and trades it on the stock market. I know that seems really dark and harsh, but in a very kind of real way, this is the weird fucked upness about full disclosure. Humanity is awakening to the fact that we got sold. Like we sold out, and then we sold our life force to like the external world, which then uses it to enslave us. So this whole breaking free thing is a real, huh? But in truth, it's all still happening within the self. All my freedom has come from me doing ceremonies which basically claim my spiritual sovereignty, and the eventuality of actually doing the physical ceremony with my fingerprint to claim back my birth certificate, to claim back the bond. And then in my vision, I'm working on actually having congregation en masse, people coming to North Devon in a weird way to be like baptized, but the baptism has to do with you claiming back your sovereignty from the divine. Corrupt any kind of covert soul contracts with banking, government, blah 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 blah. We reclaim. So you reclaim the spiritual sovereignty, and then we can manifest the actual physical ceremony for most of us. So it's just like a piece of paper that you put your birth certificate on, and but it undercuts the false system of enslavement and the law that basically protects the controllers. So people are, in a very real sense now, it's like the donashe stuff. People are actually really, really figuring out how to claim their freedom back, and we can do it. Spiritual sovereignty is really the ultimate. And yet, what I'm aware of is that 3D reality, people are going to want to physicalize their freedom, i.e., take their bond back. So um, that is what's happening. So I don't know why I have an awareness of that. I just do. And I guess it's all part of our emancipation because the enslavement codes are actually written into our language as well. So that's where we get like muddled. It's everywhere. And people don't even realize it, including me. So just hope for the best, you know? So yeah, silence, slow down, relax, breathe. These are all our top tips for surviving spiritual awakening, getting to the other side of systematic healing. Eat plants. Eat plants, my friends. Joanna Wells is learning how she's on YouTube. Interesting. So eat plants. We all know this in various forms, non-poisonous, ideally. Oh, and then I think I mentioned this earlier, but now it's like the bottom is swim, play, relate to nature. So not so eating nature, eating plants, and then play outside, barefoot, tree, climb trees, hang out in the sun, bask in the sun. Like, remember being a child when you were just like curious and just wanted to run around all the time? There's that sort of innocence and essence in play. Play isn't going to the pub and getting wasted. That's our like coming of age. If you survive that, you're full-fledged systematic slave. If you don't survive that, you end up pioneering a global brand called Ultra Love. Because you didn't fit in with that system, so you create your own. But I'm happier for it, so hey ho, C'est la vie. C'est la vie, we live it, and we let it go. Hi, Chris P. I'm aware that you're there, bud. I can see you. Wishal, you're always it's each to their own, like there's no I don't think right way or wrong way. It's just that's my interaction often and myself as well. Like I'll catch myself just holding my breath. Usually if I'm contracted and stressed. Like sometimes it's not always like my breath is like super deep, but I'm aware that I'm breathing. And then I'm aware of like the breath going deeper or lighter. But most people are just running unconscious programs and their breath is limited, but they're not even aware of their breath in any such a way. But I wouldn't ever say like someone's doing it right or wrong, you know what I mean? Or like correctly or incorrectly. We're just where we're at, right? Yeah, divine sight, exactly. Consciously, especially as women, like I'm allowed to take up life. I'm allowed to like make space and have space. And then there's something around that as well with like um I had this as a dancer growing up, but like I one hated my body and was always in self-loathing patterns, but then part of the yoga healing journey was the fact that I started to breathe again. And I hadn't even realized that like pretty much I guess since I was like 9 or 10, I was always holding my tummy in because I hated myself and because in dancer world you're like tuck in your belly and da 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 da, and so I literally was like always sucked in, and no wonder I was fucking exhausted all the time. No wonder I was da 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 because I was just like yeah, right, and um yeah, and then just full breathing and breathing into my belly and finally being able to relax my tummy was just like a huge breakthrough for my practice and for my ability to show up and my ability to be clear and my ability to actually enjoy my body and enjoy my life. I had to start taking in breath and also like fully letting shit go, right? And that's a full breath cycle, really. Make space, let go of unwanted energy. Make space, fully let go of unwanted energy. Like you can literally fucking recreate yourself with every breath cycle. Hi, Amit. I volunteered all day. I pooped. I messaged one of you guys about be pooping into my mind, and I didn't even realize I wrote poop. I thought I wrote popped. Like you popped into my mind so high, and then only in the reflection where she was like, "You pooped," and I'm like, "Ah, you pooped into my mind," and now it's like an ongoing joke. But I do love that word for some reason. I pooped. Oh, Amit, so much love and joy for you. Hi, Fifth. Really nice to hang out at your live feed yesterday. It was super duper beautiful, relaxing, peaceful. I caught the end and then went back probably about just under halfway. So yeah, okay. So where are we? We eat plants, yeah. Swim, play, relate to nature, i.e., remember the curiosity and the awe of like the sun, the sky, the clouds, the trees, the bugs, the nature, the birds, the bees, remember, right? Like, be like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be alive on this beautiful planet. And then relate to it. And I have no doubt that some of you will actually have uh, wisdom, plant wisdom, i.e., if you hang out by trees, if you meditate outside, if you eat certain foods, that you might have like downloads about the wisdom of the plant. that obviously connects to us feeling better because that's what this is all about, you guys. The only reason we're all here is to feel better, okay? I'm sure that's part of it, and then there's other parts of it, right? Okay. Um swim, play, la 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 la. So we up it. Life is good, right? And then my last point, which I've actually put a little star next to, um I have never spoken about this before, but basically it's feelings. Deep healing is from us feeling. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean to be alive? Right? What does it mean to feel? And let's be honest, look, because I've seen pleasure shaman, what girl? If we like, what does it mean to be alive? If we're not allowed to be fully alive and to feel like the depths of our pain, then we're never going to be able to hold space and feel the height of our pleasure, the height of our ecstasy, the height of our bliss, the height of our divinity, the height of our love, the height of our light. We won't get there unless we go all the way down to our depths, to the misery, to the suffering, to the denial, the betrayal, the deceit, the fear, right? We until we fucking face down the depth of our own demonic shadow, unconscious, right? The masks, until we face all of that within the self via our field, i.e., our external reality, we're not rising. We're just staying stagnant and blocked. Oh, I thought it was as well, pleasure shaman. Formerly magic people. I felt there was a connection, and now that's so. Yeah, you guys, this is really important to me randomly because now pleasure shaman. So I randomly knew that, or got some kind of weird sense, although your handle could have given it away as well. But I sort of knew that the magic people on the YouTube was my friend pleasure shaman on Instagram. Now then, friends of Ultra Love TV, some of you have been blocked from Ultra Love TV and various MJ channels of communique because of uh, incessant bombarding emails telling me to do stuff or be a certain way or that I should feel a certain way or various what we would call kind of stalker energy. So as I empower myself to block energy that I don't necessarily want around me, something before this magic people pleasure shaman Chica made me aware that my intuition was correct about her being magic people, and now she's pleasure shaman. Da da da. So there's a few people that show up here from time to time that my intuition is being like, I think I know who you are. As in, just because you change your YouTube channel name doesn't mean that the energy isn't very similar, if that makes sense. And I'm also aware of being a little bit of a paranoiaville. So let's MJ, let's just wait for it to kind of calm down and we're good to go, right? John Beanie. I'm John Beanie. Yeah, yeah. You sure are. It's my stage name. That's like MJ is my pen name. Well, you guys, I think that's it. I really I wasn't sure. I have a day off after this now, so I'm gonna really enjoy that. I'll probably binge watch some YouTube and possibly get stoned and probably have a stretch and a meditation across the niche to heal the heart vibrashe. God, I again, I'll get to these points where there's not much coming through, and I like when I hear myself speak stuff, I'm like, oh, like stop talking, MJ, stop talking. Oh, fifth, you know what? I'm later that being like, I need ambition back. And I'm like, fuck ambition. Who cares? Let's all let it all go and just sit in a park and get stoned or like go give out hugs or who knows? Like fuck ambition. You're enough. I'm enough. Everybody here, we're enough. We don't have to do anything, be anything, make anything. Literally just being here and sitting still is fucking enough. Like we're epic creators and we don't need to try anymore. The truth shall set you free. You know the truth inside of you. Your truth is the way, and that is all. My truth is my way. So I'm gonna go my way. But I'm feeling that as far as like I'm over it. I don't have any more to give as far as like I don't know, and some days you just gotta be like, guess what? We're done. And it is done. The divine is almighty. So let's fucking chill and enjoy the rest of the ride. I reckon we'll be doing that. Da, 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 da. Because I'm gonna, like, I just know it, guys. I just know we're on our way. We made it. The fact that we're also alive and having this conversation and not actually being persecuted is the fact that, like, we cleared karma from the dark ages and now it's all making sense because most of us we know why we're here. And yes, like straight up in the last like especially the last few months, like the last sort of 6 to 9 months, literally that's like how I've been feeling. Retired to life. I'm like, what? I'm not going back. What? I like had a little wobble at one moment in February. And now when I look back at that moment, I'm like, because I can see it so clearly, you know? Um, but for sure, I'm for sure retired. But how awesome are retired people? I mean, come on. I just do whatever I want. I'm like, that's don't isn't that like straight up? I'm like, we should all be, and I permission you. Just do whatever you want. Have faith, my friends. Seriously. Oh, guys, I love you, boys and girls. Boys and girls. I do love you. Free hug Hobie is my friend. Oh, free hug Hobie. I do like that's possibly one of the saddest moments, isn't it? I mean, it makes me want to cry just now thinking, is it Hobie? Isn't there like a super cute little elf creature who like ends up befriending Harry Potter or like is super tight with Harry P? And then he, oh, let me not do spoiler, but like super sad, like, why? Free hug, Hobie! Oh, Dobby! Thank you. See, like this is one of those. This is my density, or density. I don't know, but I'm one of those kids. Like my whole life, people have called me a space cadet because like I find it really hard to like impress the proper lyric of song. Um, and like I get words confused a lot, and like I often don't get jokes. Like I'm really slow or gullible. Um, So Dobby, of course. I'm like, how many times have I seen Harry Potter? More than I'd probably want to admit as an adult, but like, still can't remember Hobby's name. As I'm saying Hobby, I'm like, no, that's Hobbit. Hobbit, not Hobby. It's Hobby. Dobby. Dobby! Right. Okay. See, oh, I just had that moment where I'm like, shh, calm down, shush, go away and let people crack on with their day. Okay. But actually the legit truth is like how much I love you. Daring. My daughter has been daring me to do things when I ask permission. Boom. She's 16 years old and she's like, you don't need permission. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I'm just like, yeah. And this is like the evolution as well of like we're learning so much from everybody. And that's why, we have I don't often see age. I just see co-creative exchange and learning. My mom is one of my greatest teachers and I want to say students, but I think it's reflected. I think that I too am one of her greatest teachers and student kind of thing. And however, and one of you have asked me about this, you're wanting to know a little bit more about my family situation. I just want to hold space and be like respectful, obviously, but like my relationship with my mother has undergone like a complete transformation. Like I used to have hard like a lot of wounds there, and you know, divorce and then hardcore depression. My mom was in and out of kind of psychiatric wards growing up. And as a kid, I just like I remember going to the hospitals like not long after the parents were fighting and stuff. And then as a kid, when that happens to a parent, you then become there's a part of you that like there's a part of your innocence that dies when you're a kid that goes through like when the home is destabilized and disrupted out of a lack of love and understanding, that then usually creates that kind of enmeshment wound in a child. So like straight up most of my adult life I've been outworking the wound of trying to please my parents, of trying to make their life happy, their life good. Because that's what I learned. That's how I learned to be. That's how I learned to get love, was just to make sure everything was okay for her all the time. And obviously, as an adult, you reject it, you run away from it, and you deny it. And then eventually, if you want to be a decent human, you work through those issues because harboring blame toward our parent it never helps anybody. You know, keeping our parents in some image we have of them that doesn't help nobody. So I took leaves and I moved far away from home. And I, at one point in my life, was pretty committed to never having any contact or really being in touch with these people at all. Um, However, you know, in the end, mom ended up taking leaps herself and making huge changes. And, you know, she's transformed her life and we're like legitimate friends now. At the same time, she's still my mother and she has my back. And that's legit awesome. And I'm incredibly grateful to have a happy and healthy relationship with Mimo. But it wasn't always like that. And I have to take responsibility because I had to take responsibility for the shitty relationship. I now take responsibility for the awesome one. And the fact that I don't do people pleasy shit with my mom anymore. And that she's a really cool lady, you know? I'm like, whereas I used to have a perception of her being a spoiled fucking brat who fucked up my sister and I because she couldn't get over herself. That was my old perception. I changed that though. And now my relationship with her is change. Fancy that. Change your mind and your world changes. Change your perspective and the perspective of the world changes. It's pretty much that simple. The reason people aren't seeing change is because they don't feel. That's pretty much the long and short of it. People don't feel deeply enough. They're afraid of their emotions, so they keep pushing their emotional reactivity back onto the external world, which just loops it back into patterns. Hi, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, weekend party, right? Those are fucking systematized en masse patterning, which we are all responsible for breaking free from. And years never really been in the system in that regard, but having broken free and healed, I can honestly say once you break free, a lot of those patterns dissipate. I don't have set in stone patterns around food. I don't have set in stone patterns around sleep, although they do develop and there's cycles, but the cycles are much bigger. So instead of being a daily or a weekly pattern, I notice more makes sense as a woman, more of a monthly pattern and a yearly pattern as well. Although the yearly patterns are shifting, I wonder why, because en masse, we're breaking free from the Gregorian calendar. So what I'm beginning to see, which is weird, but not really, is actually my yearly cycles are 13 months. So big shift 3 years ago was end of January, February. 2017, big shift, end of Feb, March. 2018, big shift, March, April. And then this year, in my mind thinking it's going to be Feb, it's going to be March, it's going to be April. No, 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 MJ, you're going to have to wait until the end of fucking May. You're going to have to blow open all of your shitty fucking ego programs or you think you're right. And we're going to crush you. We're going to power you down to the bottom of the fucking barrel of life so that you have zero ego left and all there is vulnerability and fucking humility. And I'm like, hey, But now you guys are here, so we're good to go. And I have no shame anymore, so I literally just say whatevs and hope for the best because why not? Let's just expect awesomeness, you guys. Lots more fun, healing, clearing, and yeah, legit awesome because we're all connected and we have different, we're international folk, you guys. Mm-mm-mm. So I'm like, once all to love MJ manifests some epic land vibrashe, we can all share and co-create and hold events together and collaborate. I'm certain of it. Because a lot of you guys are already like on the path. You're healers and yogis and blah 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 blah. So it's more about us being able to collab and bring our epic healer skills to the fore. Like the Avengers, and then save humanity from destruction. Look at me. Oh my god, I so need to just be finished with this. A commune. Yeah, same Golden Heart. I'm like, that's what I see. I just see us tag teaming running these gorgeous little eco zones and being love for one another and freedom for one another and supporting it pretty much from within the heart. I was raised by hippies. Were you? Interesting, Golden Heart. Where are you in the world? Write it down to manifest. Yeah, I did my new moon or full moon ceremony yesterday. So I had like 5 pages. That's not normal for me. And I had like a bit of I'll quote Oklahoma City. Oh, Oklahoma. I'm sure Aaron's there right now. Down to earth dad, I feel, but I could be wrong, so don't take my word for it. Um Write it down and manifest. Yeah, I like normally will just have like a neat and tidy page, which is sort of the weird little perfectionist girl in me. Like it has to be neat and tidy. I must fit everything and blah 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 blah, so that I can fold it and then like la la la. But no, not this time. This time it was like 4 or 5 pages with like scrolling, like new moon, manifest, writing, like I was being hella specific. Like, this is how much I earn from this, and this is how much I earn from this. Like, mega hella specific, hardcore belief system. Um, More anchoring in like the truth of my beingness and how I want to show up in the bod. Not too far away from Dallas. See, you guys are all over there. I'm so fascinated by it. New Lemuria. Lemuria! What? Oklahoma? Chris P. So you're saying that Oklahoma is the new Lemuria. That is really weird. Anyway, weird but not really because everything is synchronized by the divine. Oh yeah, my full moon ceremony yesterday was hella hilarious because I like and then I just shared with one of you guys about like my personal how I do ceremony. So I literally like I had my selenite behind me and then I like surrounded myself with crystal. So I was basically sat in like a crystal circle. And then I lit my incense, I lit my sage. Oh no, I lit for the first incense, I actually lit my San Paulo because that's what I've been using lately. I find it really clearing for the cells. So I did the San Paulo and then the San Paulo lit up and I was like meditating with my paper of like my full moon Beltane intentions of this is it. This is the turning point, right? And I'm like doing the sage and the San Paulo, not the San Paulo, I mean, and it's all like lit up. I mean, it's on fire, right? And I'm like, fine. Whew. And then I literally just put the fire under here and it starts burning. It's burning up in my loft. That's where I am when I'm doing this. And why I thought it would be a wise idea to set light to like a huge pack of paper while sitting in the middle of the loft, not by the windows. Smart cookie right here. So basically I was suddenly like meditating and then burning and feeling mega like witchy magic vibrashe. And then suddenly it was like smoky and then fire alarm was going off and I was just like, ha! Ha! And then I like, so I had my San Paulo and I'm like, oh shit, trying to like get rid. And then I'm like, okay. And I go out into the window and like put my San Paulo there. And I'm like, trying to hold the paper and like see it burn. So I know that I'm letting go of the manifestation. And I'm like, it's burning. And then my hands are burning. And I'm like, ah, 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 ah. And so I let go of this thing outside. And as I let go, the San Paulo also falls outside. And I'm like, ah. And then I just watched for quite a while until the flames went out just to make sure I don't light the like ceiling on fire. Like, legit, there was a lot of fire, and I really wanted to make sure that I didn't light any part of the building on fire. So I just stay there and I watched the blazing flames all over. And then I was thinking to myself, shit, that's my last stick of San Paulo. I'm going to have to buy some more, which I did. I ordered more yesterday. So I'm hoping it arrives today and tomorrow because I want to bring some with me to Canada because I'm going back into the family vortex. So I reckon I'll be meditating a fair bit and doing some San Paulo ceremony for myself in solitude when also it's a wedding. So, I don't know if you guys, well, of course, who doesn't? I mean, wedding energy can often be mega stressful.com. So, yeah, that's going to be super fun. Although I got a new outfit, which I'm pretty stoked about. eBay represent the hood. Intuition shopping is the way to go for sure. Keep some protection crystals in your pocket. Nice one. Thank you. How funny. Super duper aligned, yo. Because the protection, I literally just picked out a couple and then I put obsidian in and around um in and around. No, John, I'm not. You know what? I officiated a wedding about 4 years ago. And I was ordained as a I think it's called Universal Life Church. So you can be so it's basically like an online thing. You literally just pay for it. It's not particularly like official. And saying that, it's not official, certainly not here in the UK. Like I guess you could say I'm ordained by a ministry, but it's not like recognized as anything official. It's certainly not the way I would need to be officiated in the UK to actually perform a wedding ceremony, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I have done that. I have actually, like, been the person being like, "Do you da 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 take so and so, and do you blah blah blue blah take blah blah blee." I have done that. Um, but yeah, I find wedding energy quite, like, intense. It's like weirdly funeral energy. I know that sounds effing weird, but I like as like when it comes to like just like a cluster of frequencies, weddings and funerals are weirdly kind of similar. Does anyone get that, or is it just me? I'm like, there's a lot of tears, there's a lot of joy, there's a lot of like nostalgia. I don't know. Like it's just like a lot of similar vibe. Don't forget all those official things are dying or dead. True, true. True, 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 true. Exactly. And that's why you guys are here, just to remind us. Like we're already over the heap. Every once in a while, clearly our lingo like goes back in time to be like, ah, but no, we're good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the kind of it's like accountability, isn't it? It's like we can just all keep improving all the time. I cry like a baby, no pun intended. Nice. Same people show up too. I cry the moment people say I do. Maybe we should. It. I'm with you. I do the same. Even though I've like never been in that paradigm per se. Um, for sure, wail like a champ. Even if I'm trying to like not cry, I'm like, love, this is so beautiful. And then same if I see babies being born and then the mommy and the dad. It's like, oh my god, it's so gorgeous. Chris, that's fair dues. Kind of legit, isn't it? In fairness, but like you could be inviting some lovely bits of resistance there. It's like me and my channel. I do get it. I mean, I wrote a book about it. When you step into your power, you might just piss people off because suddenly you're not pleasing them anymore. And any of us, if we're being pleased by someone and suddenly they go, "I don't want to please you," excuse me, excuse me, you're meant to please me, and you're like, "But I don't want to," and you're like, "How dare you? How dare you do something for yourself?" And you're like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Oh, but I can and I will." You guys, what are you doing to me? Like for rizzles, I'm going delirious. Hell's yes. Oh, so creation. It's like pure creation and pure manifestation. That's life force itself being birthed. Oh, about as raw as it gets. Yeah, right, for sure. This is epic, MJ. You're epic. You're all epic, and you know it. And you know it, you guys. So I'm right at the end of my cafe au lait, except there's no au lait, it's just cafe. It's a cafe noir. You could say it's just an espresso, but it's like in between an espresso and a americano. Yeah. So you guys, um, I've actually been looking at some random like retreats for me. Just to have a bit of a break from my day-to-day routine. Maybe like a 3-dayer, just a little yoga detox retreat. I wouldn't mind just like some juicing for a few days, like get away from all the distractions of life for a bit so that I can enjoy it that much more when I come back to it. Awesome, you guys. Well, you guys enjoy the ride. Um, oh, anything we desire exists in the new earth. It's all here now, my friend. You guys go enjoy yourself a coffee. Go get your coffee and we'll have chats tomorrow. Back on it tomorrow. I've got sessions pretty much all day and some online sessions with you guys and some yoga vibrashe for the community. And then really I'm just getting ready to go. I'm getting ready to fly to Canada early Wednesday morning. So I'll be updating you guys from Canada, a small town called Chatham, Ontario. So looking forward to it. Anyway, guys, I love you. Have a great day. What an enjoyable sesh. I sometimes literally I'm just like it's like we're meeting up for a coffee at a cafe, except it's my bedroom and you're all in your houses, but we're actually virtually communicating over a coffee or whatever time of day it is. Thank you, Golden Heart. Quad long espresso. Yeah, a long espresso, right? They do those in France. They're really good. Hey, that's like me, Rochelle, Universal Life Church. So I can lay hands on the dying people legally. You're hilarious. Thank you guys. I will have a safe trip. I'll be live again probably tomorrow, but you might miss me 1 or 2 days if I'm oot and a boot and like flying and stuff. So enjoy. Here's to Mary and Jesus and all of us embodying the Christ. I love you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you on the flippity floppity flow. Oh, yeah, for sure. It's time for me to go. I love you guys. Peace out.